Today's podcast is sponsored by Farmhouse Teas.
Tech is all around us, yet we have chosen to live a simple, less technological life. We still use tech, we just try not to let it rule us. What about our kids? What do we do to navigate raising kids in an ever-increasing tech world? On today's episode, we'll talk about how we raise our children in this high-tech world and how we've come to function with tech all around us. This is the Ample Flame Podcast. This is episode 6. This episode is Tech in the Home.
This is going to be an interesting one, I think.
It is going to be an interesting, probably because of what we do for a living.
Yeah.
We currently make our money, our living, using technology.
Yes. And social media and, all these things that we don't, not disallow in our home. Like, it's not that we don't allow them at all, but we are, like, very cautious about what we allow in our home and how much tech we use. So, yeah, it's a little ironic.
Yeah. But we realize the irony here, so bear with us.
Yeah. I think it's an important discussion, though.
It is. This is a discussion that me and you, have had pretty much our entire marriage. Mm-hmm. I have to jump ahead in my notes here because I remembered way later. My parents, they allowed screens. Like, we had screens. My dad was a computer programmer. So, like, we were the first kids in the neighborhood to have a computer when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Like, we have always had tech in the home when I was growing up. We didn't have television. We had computers, computer games, and that was before the internet. Like, shocker.
Yeah, right.
I totally just dated myself. Because there was all sorts of trash on TV, we didn't watch TV. Mm-hmm. I personally wanted to watch TV. I guess that was my rebellious streak. I wanted to watch everything. It sounds so foolish now,
right?
Saying it, especially with everything you can find on the internet today, and what the internet has become, and social media and all that. But back then, it was like, I want to watch TV. I feel like I'm missing out.
Yeah.
Anybody I know, they're always talking about their favorite TV shows and stuff like that.
Right.
And so I kind of grew up really wanting to watch TV. And so, my rebellious thing, and I told it to Meg too. I meant it. I said, I will have a TV in every room of the house. I'll have a TV in the hallway, the bathroom. Mm-hmm. I can have my shows on. No matter where I need to go in the house, there will always be a screen in front of me.
Right.
And then we got married, and we had one TV. Little teeny tiny.
Because it turns out TVs are expensive.
TVs are expensive. And we got cable.
Yeah.
This is when we first got married. And by then, the internet was a thing. And shortly after we got married, YouTube got invented. And TV became a thing of the past. Yeah. I don't know. Something weird happened. As we started our journey into parenthood, I started realizing what TV had done to me. Mm-hmm. And I didn't like it. And so when the conversation came of, are we going to have cable with our kids? Are we going to plug our kids in? Both you and me just kind of, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is healthy. Having just, grown out of that phase myself, it was like, this isn't healthy. This isn't a good way to be.
Right. I grew up in a house that did have TV, and we had cable. And it's kind of like you, I was looking at it going, there's a lot of good things. Like, I watched Food Network and, had to cook and do a lot of those things with TV. But the entertainment side of it, like the mind numbing side of it, I guess we could say.
Trash.
The trash side of it was definitely trash. And seeing what it was and what it had done to me, myself, and thinking do we want to raise our kids this way? Is this something we want to have in our home and have them have to battle with a lot of the, mental things that we battled with because of what trash we were, privy to. Ingesting. Yeah. That was definitely a conversation that we wound up having quite a bit when the kids were little.
Something maybe I should move this further down the list to talk about. But as we just kind of opened up with talking about kids and everything, not using screens as a babysitter.
Oh, yes. Yes. So I think we should just be straight up and say that we used to.
It was absolutely
a really easy and totally worked babysitter. And so, and now I think we could back up a little bit. We do still do this sometimes within reason.
I also have a note further down talking about from time to time if we need to.
Yeah.
We will absolutely plug everybody in if we need to.
Right. So this is not like a bash on anybody who ever like plugs their kids in. Like we totally do sometimes. But for us, it became a very easy fallback for like, oh, we're tired. Go watch screens. Oh, we want to do this. Go watch screens. Oh, whatever excuse we had was just like, here, have some screens. And it's a really easy way to run away from your responsibilities, like as a parent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think back to, say it was one of the rare occasions I had a Friday night off. I would be home for dinner Friday night, and we would plan to have a Friday night. We were going to have some drinks. We were going to barbecue.
Right.
And usually by the time we had dinner, summertime, it stays late. It's like we can't put the kids to bed yet. So we'd go throw on a movie for them. And me and you would sit out on the patio in the heat of summer.
Yes.
Some sort of fan, maybe a mister.
Right.
And we would have some drinks and just relax, maybe listen to music, but away from our kids.
Yeah.
I hadn't seen my kids all day, but what I wanted to see was you.
Right.
I hadn't seen you, all week. In hindsight, that probably wasn't the most healthy thing, because that's a terrible way to start building a relationship with your little kids.
Right. Right. Because they don't know how to have a relationship, because there is no relationship.
They're plugged in.
Because just being plugged in. Yeah. And I definitely had days where like you would be at work and they're all driving me crazy. And instead of being like, hey guys, let's like go outside and do something, or finding another avenue to keep them busy and to keep them entertained and just with them and parenting them, it was like, have some PBS, like just go sit down and watch whatever, or I'd put on a movie or something. And I mean, like I said, I don't want to bash anybody who does use those things from time to time, but we are saying for us, we found it was becoming a crutch.
Yes.
And it was something that was really, really creeping in. And we were seeing negative side effects from that. One of the things we were noticing was communication skills weren't that great from our children to us. And their imagination skills.
Oh, the imagination just stopped.
Decline. Yeah. Not even declined. It just stopped. So anytime that we had like a long run of movies or PBS, or
we got in a rut
screens,
to where we were using a screen to babysit way too much.
They had no imagination. So when it got turned off, it would be like, all right, guys, go outside and play. And there's no play because they don't know how to, because their brains have just been taken over by something that has imagination for them. And they have no ability to keep their brains going themselves. And so that was a big thing. And then also what was a huge, like, I guess a red flag for us was anytime the TV got turned off, everybody freaked out. Like freaked out. And we're like tantrums, crying, screaming, fits. The dopamine drip got cut, and they had a visceral reaction to it.
I think that reaction, when you turn off the screen and they nut up and just the monster comes out, it's like, whoa, what's going on here? After we saw that a couple times, that was when, and it was the communication thing. We noticed really like just being able to articulate anything and form the words correctly. These are 5-year-olds, 6-year-olds, something like that. And it was like their communication had gone backwards.
Yeah.
And, I realize everybody is going to have a point in their life when you just got to turn on a movie because you just need a minute.
Totally.
Like, we're not bashing that. We're talking our own personal experience, the things we noticed, the things that led us to curating how much technology, how many screens are in the house.
Yes.
This is our experience. This is how we have navigated really that reaction, the just visceral, just how dare you.
Little rage monsters.
It was just like, okay, we need to have a conversation about this.
Yeah.
And so what did we do once we started seeing that?
Yeah. So we cut things back. So it was like no PBS, like no,
Well, because they could go in and watch PBS every day.
Right.
Like
right. It was,
end of the day, like they could turn on the TV whenever they wanted.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's fine. I got a few minutes while they're occupied with that show.
Right. Right. So it at first became like time slots. instead of like every day by the time we're done with school, you just watch PBS all the rest of the afternoon. It was like, okay, while I'm cooking dinner and like you're not home, so I actually do need a minute to like be by myself to do the thing. It was like, okay, so you get to watch PBS from, it was like 4:30 to 5:30 or,
Yeah.
maybe
I wouldn't say that's excessive.
Right. So we did time slots for a very long time. And then it was like only on Fridays we watch our movie. So we did Friday night movies. That was a big thing for a very long time. And what was good about that was, one, it helped me because I knew, I have this time slot. And so like I have to be present during the times that are not media centered. And so it kind of like gave me hey, this is your time to be present and to like, parent them. Go figure.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. And it was good for them because they knew, hey, we have this time slot. I could say, they'd be like, can we watch PBS? No, you only have from 5:30 or from 4:30 to 5:30. That's your time. And after, a week or so, they were like, okay, well, that's fine. We won't watch until. And then I started cutting back days. I think it was like, only Tuesday and Thursday or whatever. We just like we pulled it back. Yeah, we weaned it off. Pulled it back. And I mean, it was weaning me too. It wasn't just for the kid. Like I could have just cut it cold turkey and that would have been fine. But it was also like I had become so used to them being occupied that it was actually more of like weaning for me of like retraining myself.
Weaning you off of a babysitter.
Exactly. Yeah.
Extremely detrimental to their brain function babysitter.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So that was the first thing we did when we were like, hey, this is not healthy for them.
This is not healthy, let alone all the studies that we've discovered later.
Yeah, that was just our own experience with our kids.
That was just our own experience. That was just our observation as parents. Like, this is not healthy.
Yeah.
If they are having this bad of a reaction to no more TV, guys, like your movie's done. Right. You're not going to put on another movie. It's, time to go outside.
Yeah.
You've been in front of a TV for 2.5 hours.
And they would cry
they would
and
lose
freak out. I think something that bothered me too is when I would walk in and they had that like open-mouthed dumb stare.
Open mouth, blank stare.
Yes. Yep. At the TV. And that, I remember seeing that one time and it actually pierced my heart that they were just like, duh.
Just zombies.
Zombies at the screen. And I was like, these are like 5 to 7-year-old children who should be like bright and happy and excited. And they're just like, duh. And it messed me up. I was really upset about that.
That was actually one of my notes was the blank stare.
Yeah.
That was one of those things. I think every parent has had this happen at some point. You walk in and you see the blank stare and it's like, oh, that doesn't look right. That doesn't look healthy. But then you make that little decision of, but I want to go do this thing.
Yes.
They're busy. I know they won't move. I know what part of the movie that is. They're going to be busy for another, 48 minutes. I think what it boils down to is how much do you want to be a parent versus how much do you want your own me time?
Yeah. And I mean, let's be real. Sometimes that's a struggle.
Sometimes that is a struggle.
You have to kill your own selfishness to be a parent.
Yep.
And to be an active parent.
Yep.
And
an intentional
parent. And some people are totally gifted in that, and that's not a thing. And sometimes it's a struggle.
It's a struggle. Fighting your flesh is always a struggle.
It is. Yeah.
So I kind of want to touch on something you said about, turning off the screen. What do we do if we don't plug them in?
Oh, yeah. Okay. So I read more books to them. And that actually really kicked off their love of reading so I just started reading. We talked in our family culture episode about like read alouds. And so I started reading bigger books, more in-depth books, advanced books. I wasn't just reading Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, these aren't board books.
Right. So I started reading more imagination cultivating books.
Name some books if you can.
So Phantom Tollbooth, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory,
which that's one of my favorites.
Right. I'm trying to think of like the younger generation book because they now they read like Lord of the Rings and all those big things.
Bonhoeffer.
Yeah, they're reading Bonhoeffer right
sitting
now.
and listening to them talk back and forth about reading Bonhoeffer. It's like
now, guys.
Wow.
I mean,
You've come a long ways from Dr. Seuss.
It's a school book, so they have to read it, but they're also really enjoying it. Yeah, they have come a long way. Just things like that, you know. I'm trying to think of like specific ones. Well, we did My Side of the Mountain.
Oh, they loved those books. I loved those books when I was a kid. Reading My Side of the Mountain, every time it's like, I got to go outside and I got to be in nature.
Yeah.
Got to sharpen some sticks and build a shelter.
Yeah. Yeah, right? And they would too. I mean, that was part of it too. I mean, as well as reading, we just spent more time outside. So, you know, in California, we had a backyard and had a fort and, you know, a sandbox and stuff like that. And we would either go on walks or I would send them out back. And so what I would do actually, like, to try to reignite their imaginations was, well, hey guys, how about we take these bandanas and tie them on your heads, and like you made them swords, and like go be pirates in the backyard. Or like I would come up with scenarios for them so that their imaginations would get relit, and then we would read these books and that would help. And that was a huge part of, I guess, re-educating their brain out of media.
Getting their imaginations, you know, to get the dust off.
Yeah.
You know, learn how to use your imagination again.
Right.
Now, okay, I guess a little context, like, when did we start plugging them in versus when did we finally start pulling the plug because it was like, no, this can't.
Yeah. Now, this is one thing. I think it wasn't a very long time that from when we started plugging them in more and more to where we were like, yeah, this is not okay. So for other families who might be dealing with this is like years later, you know, maybe a decade long thing, it's going to be harder to unplug. I feel like we started plugging them in more and more around the time the twins were like 5-ish.
Okay.
4 or 5-ish.
About the age Buggy is now.
Yes.
Where the incessant talking starts.
Right, yes.
The incessant questions.
Or getting into everything.
Yes. Learns what a screwdriver is and how to use it.
Probably about that time, yeah.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Naps are no longer happening.
Yeah, even though we did quiet time every day. Yeah, and then I would say probably about the time that they were like, the twins were like 7 to 9 was when we were like,
this can't keep going on.
The bad attitude started and the visceral reactions and that kind of stuff. So it was probably a period of like
4 or 5 years.
3, 4, maybe 5 years.
Okay. Sounds about right. I'm trying to think of how old the boys were. I would say probably like 8 or 9. Mm-hmm. Gosh, that was 10 years ago.
I know, it's been a minute.
So it's been about a decade since we finally pulled the plug and majorly backed off on how much screen time we allow in the house.
Right.
Now, with that, let's talk about our own personal screen time.
Yes.
While we are weaning our children off of screens, what were we doing?
Watching screens.
Watching screens.
So our very early parenting, smartphones had not really come onto the scene yet. I mean, they were coming, but they were not as prevalent, definitely, as they are now.
I don't think I got a smartphone until it was like 2013.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there. The iPhone, they were already up. They had quite a few iPhones by the time I got one. And, you know, I've always gotten an older phone because I refuse to pay full price for something. But yeah, kind of a holdout.
Yeah.
Not to say we didn't use screens. You know, we talked in an earlier episode, we used to play World of Warcraft all the time. Mm-hmm. That was our screen time.
Right.
Well, something happened after we bought our house, and it all goes together. Like the journey of growing up, it all happened together.
It did, yeah.
So we were playing that game, and one day, you know, I had a garage. I had tools in my garage. I was playing this game, and some of the things you could do in the game, you could do blacksmithing in the game, in World of Warcraft. And I was working on leveling up my blacksmithing skill. And I remember I just stopped and it was like, this is so dumb. I should be out in the garage leveling up my own blacksmithing skill.
Like real life blacksmithing.
Like, this is dumb. Like, if my computer fries today, I have no more game.
And no more skill.
And I have no more, you know, theoretical blacksmith skill.
Right.
And that was really the end of it. It was like, I'm sick of this. I want to be outside. I want to be doing stuff.
Yeah.
And you were about the same spot.
Right.
Because we both, hey, you want to go hang out in the garage? You want to go?
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to go build something. You want to come hang out?
I would say that's about the time that my cooking really took off too.
Yes.
When I started cooking a lot more was when I wasn't plugged into a video game anymore. But we kind of just replaced our video game time with TV time.
Yeah.
So we had YouTube. YouTube was coming around. So there was that. And then like Netflix became a big thing.
Oh yeah,
and
they started streaming
ooh,
Netflix.
And so that kind of took up a lot of time. We had gotten rid of our cable when the boys were little, just because, you know, it's expensive. And we were like, we only watched like 3 channels.
Yeah, we watched Food Network, maybe Discovery.
Right.
Like, we didn't really...
And we can get a lot of this same content on PBS.
Yeah.
Like as far as
similar
food,
yeah.
you know, cooking shows and travel shows
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So it was like, all right, why are we paying for this? But we still watched a lot of TV. So yeah, while we were weaning our kids off of it, I wouldn't say ours dwindled very much.
Absolutely.
We didn't watch it with the kids.
It was just our personal time together.
Yeah, it was our personal time.
I would say, honestly, like now, where we're at now, it is actually a struggle for me to be careful how much screen time I have. These phones, I don't have a computer anymore.
Right.
All of my YouTube viewing, or if I need to look something up, I don't go to a computer. I pull out my phone. And so paying attention to that, it's rather shocking how much you use your phone. Actually, these notepads that I started carrying around, this is a shameless plug.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored, but I will tell you if there is a good product.
Yeah.
These are called Write in the Rain. They're a waterproof notepad. You can get them in just about any size you want. And they are completely waterproof. You can write underwater with them if you want.
Yeah.
So I started carrying a notepad in my pocket because I was so tired of pulling out my phone to write a note. You know, oh, here's a measurement I don't want to forget, or I want to remember this later, and I'd put it on my phone and immediately forget it.
Yeah.
I would forget I even wrote it down
Right.
in my phone. Well, I started carrying around a pencil and a notepad, and if I physically write it on paper, I remember it. And so it's actually been really nice for my brain to start to relearn remembering stuff.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird.
Yeah. I want to come back around to that point.
Okay.
But that's one of the things you've been doing. I am a big tea drinker, and I've been buying from Farmhouse Teas for years now, and for good reason. Cian and her family handcraft the most amazing loose-leaf teas that are as beautiful as they are delicious. Whether you're winding down after chores or just want something special in your cup, there's a blend for every season. Head over to farmhouseteas.com and use the code HOLLER10 for 10% off. If tea is not your thing, no worries. They also have organic bulk herbs, elderberry syrup mixes, medicinal plant seeds, and more. For me, my moment of like, oh, I really need to get off screens and my phone and stuff. The boys were playing a game, and I think it was like a card game. And Brett was like, hey, do you want to come play with us? And, you know, there's been plenty of times where it was like, oh, no, not right now. You know, not right now. You want to play with us? No, not right now. You want to do this? No, not right now. It's all right. I'll do it later. And then one night he was like, hey, do you want to play this game with us, or do you want to keep sitting on your phone ignoring us? And he was being sassy. Like, he wasn't being rude, but we're a very snarky family, so I didn't take it like disrespect. But
Brett is he's not afraid of anything.
He's not.
And he'll just say stuff just because he thinks it's funny.
Right.
Even though it's like the most cutting truth you've ever heard.
It is. I mean, the kid really knows. So I wasn't offended by it, is what I'm trying to say. Like, he didn't get in trouble. He said it, and I was like, you're very right. And I turned off my phone, and I played the game with them. And since that moment, I have tried to make it a point to not be on electronics and plugged in as often. Now, I do get hooked on my computer sometimes because, like, I'll open it, and when I'm like done editing, you know, then I'm like, oh, go surf YouTube and see what's up there. Or like I'll get on YouTube to upload our video, and I'll be like, that looks like a really interesting video.
See the little suggested feed over in the corner.
Yeah, so I do still struggle with that a little bit, but because I'm aware of it now, it's like, this isn't feeding my time well, and this isn't being productive for my family, and it's easier for me to like shut it down and let it go. But I really stopped Instagram at that point when Brett was like, you want to come play with us, or do you want to sit over there and ignore your children? And I was like, ouch. Because I'm not getting anything out of it.
Yeah, it's mindless scrolling.
Doom scrolling. Doom scrolling. I mean, I wasn't even doom scrolling. It was like people that I'm like quote unquote friends with on the internet. And I am. Like, I do enjoy these people. But it's like, I'm watching them live their life while my kids are over here like, hey, are you going to play a game with me? And that was when it was like, okay, yeah, this is a problem. I really need to.
It's not working.
It's not working.
You wanted to come back to notepads?
Yeah. So going off your notepad thing, one of my notes was tech, or specifically social media, because that's something that's come in our lifetime has been social media, retrains your brain for shorter attention spans.
Which sucks.
It sucks. And
especially if you're aware of it. I just want to say this real quick. People comment on our YouTube, our main YouTube, Holler Homestead. They say, thank you for not posting short content.
that was another one of my notes. And I was like, this is why we refuse.
Like, I see these comments all the time. And, it's I see you.
We hear you.
Pay attention.
Yeah.
The reason we don't participate in this is because it is destroying people's minds.
Right.
And if you don't believe me, click on a 20-minute video and wait until you have the impulse to click off that video and find something else.
Yes.
Usually, for me, it's about 4 minutes.
Really? 4 minutes?
Yeah, that's about my attention span. Not that I can't keep watching a 20-minute video.
Right, but that's when you get itchy.
It's like a weird, like, I wonder what else there is to watch. Like, it's just this weird, and noticing it, when you're aware of it, it sucks, because then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, I have trained my brain with short content.
Yep.
And this sucks. Back when we were really plugged in and YouTube was our entertainment source, I looked for hour-long, 2-hour-long, 3-hour-long documentaries and videos. Like, I loved sitting down and just watching. Like, I would watch, that was my thing. If I got up on, like, Saturday morning, if I was off work, I would get up at 5 a.m., get a pot of coffee going, and I'd find a documentary to watch, and I'd just sit all morning and watch a documentary. You'd get up, and my eyes would be this big. I'm like, guess what I learned about this morning? Yeah,
first thing for me in the morning.
She's not even awake yet, and I'm like, did you know?
I do not have the brain power for this yet. But you would. I would. Hours and hours. Hours long content.
And now, if I can watch 20-minute video on 1 time speed, not 2 times, like regular speed, I feel like I accomplished something.
Yeah.
Which is really sad.
Yeah. So this is something I noticed for myself, too. About the time that Brett was like, hey, wake up, Mom. I was noticing... So I love to read. I've always loved to read. Reading is my jam. If I could just ignore society and spend all my time reading, I would be a happy, happy woman. But I stopped reading and I was on Instagram all the time. And when I would try to go read a book, I had such a hard time concentrating on it and focusing. I couldn't get past a paragraph without my brain is goldfishing and I'm going somewhere else and I can't remember what I'm reading. And I was like, oh gosh, this is because I'm scrolling Instagram and I'm getting that constant swipe fix. And my brain has been retrained to accept only short little tidbits. And it bothered me so much. And that was another part of the reason why I was like, I've got to drop Instagram. Because this is doing something to my brain that I'm not okay with. I had a hard time focusing on kitchen tasks, like doing the thing, like just normal chores, totally retrained. And it bothered me so much. And I'm like, I am fighting against this. I'm like, I refuse to go down. You're not going to get me. You're not going to retrain me. And because we are fighting against that so much, we don't want to produce that content for other people to consume. So that's why we don't do shorts and we don't do we certainly don't do TikTok. I don't even have the app. I don't even care. Not even going there.
It's if we end up fading out and nobody can ever find our content again because we don't do short form content.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Sorry.
I'll go cut grass.
Yeah. Right. We're not going to participate in something that we are so against just to make money,
it's turning everybody into goldfish.
Right.
It's a dopamine drug.
Yeah.
That's being just funneled into everybody's brains, just lobotomizing everybody.
Right.
People get TikTok brain.
Yeah.
You can't even hold a conversation with someone who has TikTok brain because they squirrel out and they'll change the subject on you.
Yes.
As you're talking to them. They'll say, hey, what do you think about this? And as you're responding, they're on to the next subject. That's
right.
TikTok brain.
And we have had interactions with people in person that is the conversation. And like you and I have been like, what was going on there? What happened? And you said it's TikTok brain. And I was like, oh my gosh, you're absolutely right. That's what it is. People's brains have been they're in their brain. They're like conversationally swiping. Yeah. They're just.
Yep. That subject's boring. On to the next subject.
To the next subject. And you're talking to them as a human. And it's like, what is going on here?
Yes.
It's very disturbing, actually.
We are the generation that technology really became kind of what it is today in our lifetime. Like, we're old enough to know what life was like before cell phones and before the internet. But we've grown up with cell phones and the internet. Yeah. Really crazy if you think about it. Like, it's really, really crazy the amount of technology that has been introduced during our lives. Getting back to the boys, raising the boys. As we started weaning them off, how do you, because you were home with them. I was gone. I was working all the time. How do you deal with being around them that much? If they are no longer plugged in all the time, how do you personally deal with being around them that much?
It's not super hard for me because I really like my kids. And I mean, that probably sounds really harsh for a lot of people, or...
They're like, oh, because I
don't love my kids. I mean...
Plug in my kids, I don't love my kids.
Right. So I'm not trying to say that, but like I've always wanted to be a mom. That was like my huge driving force when I was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a mom. I want to get married and be a wife and a mother. And so I was super happy to have children. And even though like, I mean, I got days where they get on my nerves and I'm like, y'all just...
Everybody has bad days.
Right. It wasn't very hard for me to be like, now we have to be around each other. The hard thing for me was, how do I deal with the drama of them? Like meltdowns and they're tired and cranky and, you know, it's not bedtime yet, but now they need something to do because they're going downhill, but I can't put them in bed yet because it's not bedtime. That was when the technology would usually come in of just like, you're just having a meltdown and I can't deal with you right now. So it was a lot of like having to retrain myself as a parent of like, I got to chill. I got to figure out, like, is this really a big deal or not? Do they just need a snack? Do I need a snack? I probably need a snack because, like, I can't deal with, you know, the little meltdown. These are, like, little kids and I can't hang, you know? Like, I'm like, I need to just plug them in. No, I need to learn how to parent. And so that was, I think that was the hard part. It's kind of like we mentioned earlier of, like, realizing how much of this was my own selfishness. And, like, I want to sit by myself and read a book in the quiet. But these are my children. Like this is my responsibility to parent them and to take care of them. And it was a little sticky there for a while because it was like, no, I can't just plug them in once school's done. I have to like keep parenting, you know? Yeah. And
just because the schoolwork's done doesn't mean you get to okay, school's out.
Exactly, right? Like I still have a job as a parent. Like my teacher job might be over for the day, but my parent job is still there and I can't check out. So that was a little bit of a learning curve, I think, was just figuring out myself and realizing how much I had to retrain myself without technology as much as I was retraining them without technology. And so it just looked like we turn the music on and we have a dance party. Or, I mean, some days it's like, we're going to clean the house because all y'all need to stay busy and the house needs to be cleaned. So, and they did have chores. Yeah. And it was cleaning and stuff, but we would have like more in-depth cleaning. Like, and I think this made it into one of our very, very early videos of like, I would take the sprayer from the sink and I would spray the kitchen floor and I would give them towels and they would mop. Way better than a movie. They thought that was hilarious. And they're like, this is the most like best thing ever. Mom is spraying the kitchen. And sometimes I spray them, you know, and mom's spraying the kitchen floor. And now we got towels. And so everybody's entertained. You're still entertained. But
and
work is also, and the floor's getting cleaned. And I didn't have to put on a movie to do it.
I will say the more time you spend with them intentionally, the easier it gets.
Absolutely.
All the way around.
Yes.
The easier it gets for them to interact with you, and the easier it gets for you to interact with them. I have a few more things on my list that I want to get back to. I hope we don't run out of time.
You got time. Keep talking.
All right.
It's our show. We can make it as long as we want.
That's a good point.
Sorry, y'all.
Well, it's starting to get dark outside, and I've got bedtime.
Oh, I'm sorry, old man. Okay. Well, then you better get it going.
10 o'clock comes quick.
You got to turn into a pumpkin.
So we kind of went over, we've kind of dwelt in what it was back 10 years ago.
When
12,
they were little,
you
yeah.
know, when they were all little. What's it like now, and how do we navigate having older kids and minimizing our screen time with older kids?
Yeah.
So this has actually been very tricky to navigate. We don't know. Like, this isn't in the manual.
Right. Exactly. Well, and like you said, we grew up
With screens.
But also not. So I think that's what's weird. And I think, honestly, a lot of people our age are also feeling this like tension, I guess you could say, because we know what childhood looked like without it, but then also with it. Like, some of us were like, yeah, cool, let's do all the screens and all the technology. This is great. And a lot of us are like, okay, we see where this is going and the danger of this and what it's done to our own brains and lives and things like that. And we don't want that same thing for our children. And we've also seen it get more pervasive and more like in your face and more like, I have a note on here that says kind of like how the more stuff you own, the more your stuff owns you. The more you consume, the more it consumes you. And so we've realized that with ourselves, and we don't want that for our kids. But like you said, it's really tricky trying to navigate because our kids are getting older and they're like, technology's not going away. Like, it's out there and their lives are going to include it. And so, yeah, what does that look like for us with olders and trying to navigate that?
So I guess we could just talk about kind of what we have done in the short term, the past few years. As the twins are 18, Brett just turned 16. When I was like 16, 17, 18, my time alternated from, I started working when I was 16. So,
yeah.
But all of my free time, I'll say that, was split between guitar, video games, and my girlfriend.
Right. Which was me, by the way, in case anybody's wondering.
But like, that was what I was interested in.
Yeah.
And, of course, working was nice.
Yeah.
Make money.
Right.
When you're living at home, you think your minimum wage job is like awesome.
You're making so much money.
It's like, man, I got like $300.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm rich.
That's right. I could get Taco Bell so many times with $300.
So, like, I played video games.
Yeah.
I watched occasional movie and stuff like that. But, this is the early 2000s.
Yeah. Like,
and
you still got to connect via a phone line to get on the internet.
No, by then satellite was a
okay.
thing.
Well, you had satellite.
Cable internet was a thing.
We didn't have satellite. Just saying.
Well,
I had to connect via dial-up.
my dad had the hookup on
Right.
all the best internet.
Yeah.
We've always had the best internet my entire life, so that was cool. But anyways, having older kids, there's been some struggles.
Yeah.
I'll say that there's been some struggles with the older boys. There was a kid at karate that basically talked down to them about how dumb they were because they were learning how to code and what the heck are you guys doing?
Right.
And so immediately, just like clockwork, we come home and the boys are like, we want to learn how to code.
Yeah.
It was like, you guys have never expressed an interest in this.
Whatsoever.
You guys didn't know what this was.
Yeah. I mean, we weren't opposed to it.
We weren't opposed to it.
We just knew that it was because of peer pressure.
It was peer pressure. That sounds funny.
It does.
It really does. Oh,
Your
your friend's trying to get you to code. So we started, there's a couple people we asked. It's like, hey, we need some resources.
Yeah.
Boys want to learn to code. And it was like, well, that's cool. Here. And so we got them taking some classes and they started learning how to code and promptly lost interest.
Yeah.
Almost. I think Tyler decided he really enjoys like video game design.
World building. Yeah.
World building and stuff like that. And so both of them kind of got into that realm, like building worlds in the Unreal Engine, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, not so much direct coding, like typed code.
Yeah, it's kind of evolved.
Yeah.
And, as a parent, you want your kids to move into something. And it's like, okay, if you're interested in coding, we will help you move in that direction.
Right.
You know, if you want to go to college for that, we will help you.
Yeah.
But as it turns out, it was just a peer pressure thing.
It
And they
was.
were like, oh, no, I don't actually want to do this. This is kind of boring. I actually just want to play video games.
Yeah.
And so video games started creeping in more and more. And it was like, okay, I understand. I used to love video games. I used to be addicted to video games. Like,
Which is why it's not been disallowed, but we've not really been like, hey, do you want to play video games? It's just been like a really small portion of our life.
so there's a couple of video games I got completely addicted to in my early teen years. It really, truly was like a drug addiction with some of these games. I could not stop thinking about them, but it was bad.
Kind of like the kids' visceral reaction when we turned off the movies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think getting to the point where you see your kids have a reaction like that, and it's like, ooh,
Been there.
I've been there. My parents actually took away this video game because I was being such a jerk when I wasn't on this video game. And my reaction, like, I was like 12 or 13 or something like that. And I'm nutting up, freaking out. And it was just like, this isn't like me. Why am I having a reaction like this? This
Right.
is uncontrollable. This is shameful.
Yeah.
And seeing it come out of my own kids, it's like, I know what that is.
Yeah. So how we handled that was very similar to their media consumption when they were little. We just set a time limit.
Yeah.
So on Friday and Saturday nights, all of the boys get an hour apiece to play video games. Their choice video games. I mean, within reason. You know, it's got to be mom and dad approved. Like we don't allow a lot of like gory, disgusting stuff or anything like that. But so they get their hour to play video games, and they're pretty
They're
content
cool
with
with it.
that. I mean, would they sit and play video games all day long if we allowed them? Totally. They
Absolutely.
totally would. But we're the parents, so
Okay, the question really comes like, okay, these are 18-year-olds and we've
Right.
got time limits on their screen time?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
yes, because we have house rules.
You know, I sound like the typical dad. You live under my roof, you're going to follow my rules, son.
Well, yes, but I think a lot of it is also there are people in this house that are younger than them.
Yep.
And so the house rules have to overrule like an age rule at this point. I mean, because one, they're not paying all of the bills. Like they're not showing all the responsibility in order to like play video games all day long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Basically, the way I feel about it is they've been very respectful of the rules. They
Yeah,
haven't
totally.
challenged the rules. They haven't questioned. They're just like, hey, it's cool.
Yeah.
I'll play Friday and Saturday nights, and I'm cool with it.
Right.
The rest of the week, they do other things.
Yeah.
Tyler has really gotten twisted off in knife making as of late.
Right.
And so he's spent, if I'm not using him to work on the house, he spends his time down here in the barn making knives.
Right.
And I got no problem with that.
Yeah. Jack makes music.
Jack's been doing music. Sometimes Jack makes knives.
Yeah. Yeah.
It just depends.
Most of the boys will be making some kind of bladed metal weapon at some point during the week.
Yeah.
And these are the things we want to encourage.
Yes.
We don't want to encourage them to be on video games all the time because we know that that's not going to serve them well in their life. So we want to encourage them in the other things. Is it okay to play video games? Totally. I mean, we get on our phones and we, watch YouTube or whatever. Like, it's totally fine to have entertainment. Entertainment's not the problem. It's the boundaries with the entertainment that we've been, working on and putting in place our entire lives for ourselves and our children because we want everybody in our home to live a good life
Yes.
and not be just like sucked in consuming stuff all the time.
Now, I will say this. This is one of the last things on my list. Are we worried about them not being tech savvy? Because at some point, they will get out into the real world
Right.
and they will have to start using technology
Right.
just like we did.
Yeah.
Are we worried about that? I personally am not.
I'm not. No, I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm worried about it. Do I think about it? Yeah, I do. But like they get computer time. So like they're typing and things like that. Like they're learning how to use computers. So they're not like illiterate.
Yeah.
They're learning how to do these
Yeah.
things, navigate the internet, within reason. and we got him a Gab phone, which is it's a smartphone, but it's not hooked up to the internet.
It's a pretty dumb smartphone.
It's a pretty dumb smartphone. And this is mostly for like just when they go out of the house or we go out of the house.
All four of them use it.
Yeah.
Usually whoever's leaving the house takes the phone with them.
Right.
And they've expressed, especially Jack, he's like, I kind of want to get an iPhone. That's fine.
Yes.
You get to pay for the bill.
Oh, totally.
You get to pay for the
just
phone.
Like we did.
Just like we did.
Right.
When I was 18, I got tired of paying my dad for a phone bill. And so I went out and got my own phone.
Right.
So me and you could talk to each other on the same plan.
Yeah.
We could save some money that way. We could text each other. Worked out great for us. Mm-hmm. And so I told him the same thing. If you want a phone, you have to go sign up for one, be a big boy. And he was like, so I can get one? I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then he realized how much money it was going to cost month to month.
You're right. And buy the phone.
I'll just wait till I'm working. And once I'm working, like
full-time,
I will go get a phone. He goes, I don't need one right now.
Yeah, it was actually really interesting. It was like as soon as we were like, yeah, you can go do that, he was like, okay. And he didn't care anymore. Yeah.
It's not a taboo.
Right.
If you want it, go get it.
Right.
And that's pretty much how we are about all of it. Like, if you want to sit and play video games as much as you want, then you need to go get your own place.
Right.
Go get a job, pay for that,
internet
place,
bill.
Pay for that internet,
right.
Pay for your electric bill. You like keeping the air conditioning down at
really cold.
Really cold.
That's right.
Once you're paying for your own electricity bill, we're pretty lax about, making them pay for stuff like that.
Yeah.
The way I put it to the boys with the air conditioner was, you guys will have to pay for your air conditioner when you move out. Mm-hmm. As long as you're here, as long as it's not ridiculous, feel free.
Right.
Enjoy it. It's a perk of living here. There was a loft bedroom I lived in a few years, and it was always hot. Mm-hmm. It was always hot up in that loft bedroom. And my dad would run the air conditioner, but all the way up there in the loft, it was just hot. And so when, first place I got, I cranked that AC down to, 68 degrees or something like that. But then we got our first bill, and it was so freaking expensive. It was like, turn that back up. Let's see, I think I'll be comfortable at 78.
That's right.
And so it's just one of those things. Like, when they get out, they can deal with that on their own. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have anything to do with technology, but I kind of got off on a tangent here.
That's all right.
We were talking about, are we worried about them being tech savvy?
Yeah. Like you said, I'm not really worried about it. For one, our kids are really smart. So if they really wanted to get into something like technology heavy, they can jump in, no problem. Nothing they're interested in at the moment is very tech heavy. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's all like power tools, building and things like that. If they were, let's say they're going to start like a knife business. Mm-hmm. Okay, you jump into social media and a website. Mm-hmm. All of that stuff is so easy to do now.
Yeah. I remember when we were kids, there really was a thing of, you can't use a calculator. You have to learn how to.
Right.
That was kind of that was on its way out when we were teenagers. Yeah. Don't use a calculator because you need to be able to do the math. I mean, at least that's what my mom said.
Right. Yeah, mine too.
And
it's
then
still valid.
You get out and we've got these smartphones with a calculator, and it's always on your person. You always have a calculator now.
Right.
And I think I was talking about this the other day. It's really weird to know how to do longhand math with, scratch paper or a notepad.
Right.
And you can figure stuff out without a calculator. Nobody can do that.
Yeah.
When I was in a machine shop and I busted out a notepad and could sit down and figure out trigonometry to figure out my, parts I was trying to machine. And guys would walk up and be like, how do you know how to do that? Like, you didn't learn this in high school? And they're like, I don't even know what that is.
I mean, that's me too. I don't know trigonometry, but
it's one of those things. Like, if you know your math, you know the function, you know how it works, you can add, you can subtract, you can multiply, you can do division, you can figure it all out.
Right.
It's really not that complicated at the end of the day. I'm so far off on a tangent.
So it's kind of the same with them not being technologically savvy, quote unquote, for lack of a better word, right now, because they're learning all the skills to function without it.
Yes.
And so when it gets to where they can use it, like if they need the calculator, for example, they can whip out their phone, use a calculator, whatever, or they can get on social media and do, whatever, or they can use a computer. But we're trying to give them the skills to function in life and get through life without being dependent on technology for their brain, for their emotional support, for ordering food, for talking to people. Like, a huge thing for us is that they know how to talk to people because they're not hooked on their phones all the time because they read books like encyclopedias. This is a hilarious thing. We're sitting here talking about technology and how our kids are not super technologically, savvy. And our 13-year-old just walked into the barn to grab the encyclopedia. Snuck into the barn.
I kind of hear some noise, and in comes Corbin sneaking in, and he grabs an open encyclopedia. Yes, encyclopedia. You heard that right.
Like a 1998.
No. It's like from the 70s.
Oh, is it really?
It's an old.
I didn't realize it was that old.
I have a set of, what are they, Britannica encyclopedias that I didn't throw away when we got here. There's I don't know, 10 complete sets of encyclopedias around this property in various places. I left one in the barn. You never know.
Right.
Like, maybe one day the boys cracked into one because they've read every book we have here. They're like, what's an encyclopedia? Crack one open. Wow.
All the information you could ever want.
They started with A, and they're coming in, they're like, Dad, did you know that the atomic bomb, blah, 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 and they're telling me all this stuff. I was like, where did you guys learn about this? And they're like, oh, we're reading the encyclopedia. I was like,
I'm like, get it, son.
What?
Do it.
I'm all for this. Like, go for it. And I mean, it's kind of outdated information, but it's good information.
It's still good information. And how cool is it that, they're learning this and they don't have to Google it on their phone?
Yes. Well, that's been another thing, too, and navigating technology with the censorship and AI and everything that is coming down. I don't know if you've experienced it. I know you've experienced it, or any of the listeners have experienced it. Try to search for something. Okay, I'll just take this one. Try to find any herbal treatment of an ailment on the internet.
Almost
Good
impossible.
Luck. It's nearly impossible.
Yeah.
You will only find mainstream things that point to pharmaceuticals. You will never quickly in the top 100 searches find what you're looking for herbalism and stuff like that.
Right.
That's just a simple first one off the top of my head.
Yeah.
It's getting so hard to find information because everything's curated.
So again, that kind of goes back to we're trying to teach them life skills to function outside of technology because it might not serve you.
Yes.
And I guess that could kind of sort of wrap up the point we're trying to make is if technology is not serving you, and I mean a holistic approach to serving you, then maybe it's time to reevaluate where technology plays a role in your life. Them being able to be we're just going to crack into the encyclopedia and learn what we need to know because the internet maybe can't teach them what they're curious about because there are certain parties that can control stuff like that.
I think we're touching on...
We're touching on after show stuff, but you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying.
Yep. Picking up what you're laying down.
Yeah, that's right. So we just want our kids to be able to function in so many ways. And I think I touched before Corbin came in and snuck an encyclopedia. I just touched on they're able to talk and communicate with people.
Yep.
And I think one of the saddest things I have seen is kids who are very, very addicted to technology. They have their cell phones on them constantly. They are not able to talk and communicate to our children or other children around them just because they're used to functioning on the internet.
Yep.
And that's really sad to me. And I would say that's a way of it's not serving those people.
Yes. All right. I think that's a good place to wrap up this episode. I already know that after we stop recording, I'll wake up tomorrow and be like, man, we could have talked about this. We could have talked about that. This is a very talked about subject between you and I, and honestly, a lot of our friends too.
Yes.
We are somewhere between wanting to go full Amish and I don't know.
That's the option.
That's the option.
Right.
We're somewhere between where we are now and wanting to go full Amish.
Yes. I mean, because technology is a part of our life.
Yes.
This is what we do for a living. We kind of have to have it around. But if, we turned off all the power and just read books all the time and played outside, we'd be happy with that.
I will say the direction we have just let our children kind of grow on their own. When we go to bed at night, all of the boys read. Mm-hmm. Their nightly ritual, which I didn't...
No, we didn't start this.
We didn't start this.
This is
they
their
started
thing.
this. This is their thing. One of the boys bought one of their brothers this candle.
Yeah.
It's a little camping candle. It's called a Yuko. Really cool candle. We are not sponsored.
No.
But they're cool. Little metal candle. There's a little spring-loaded candle inside, and it's a lantern. You light the candle, put the lantern part back on, and you can carry this thing around, and unless you touch the glass.
Right.
But it's pretty much safe to have around. Well, they all get in bed and put their turn their candles on, light their candles, and they read for an hour before bed.
Yeah.
Like, it's the weirdest thing to me that these boys, like,
of their own volition,
they all bought their own candles, and they all, every night, read their books, whatever they're reading, the encyclopedia.
That's right.
For an hour
That's right.
with their candle. They know how many nights a candle lasts.
Yeah, they do.
It's like, you guys are so Amish, you don't even know.
Right? Make the Amish look bad. Yeah, it's crazy. But it's cool.
It is cool.
Like, they're living a cooler childhood than we ever did.
Yeah.
At least I feel like it.
I feel like that too.
Yeah. So I'm really not worried about them.
No.
They're going to be okay.
They'll be just fine.
Yeah.
They might not be completely technologically advanced, but the thing about the superpower that we're trying to get them to develop is the ability to always learn.
Yeah.
And if you teach yourself to learn,
then they can learn anything.
You can learn anything.
So if they go into a field
that they need to
have a lot of technological education, then they can dive in and do that for themselves.
Yep.
And they'll be okay.
All right. We are actually going to continue this conversation in the after show. If you would like to hear the after show, we will leave a link. It's over on Patreon. We do bonus episodes over there. We do a once a month Ask Me Anything episode, which those are always kind of fun.
Yeah.
If you guys want to hear more, go over there, check us out, give us a follow on Patreon. We appreciate it. It does help fund this show.
Yep. You get ad-free episodes.
You get ad-free episodes, and then, of course, the after show.
Yeah.
We hope you guys will join us on the next one. Thanks for listening, everybody.